Hi, I'm Cass. Today we're going to start a series on how to fake the 1920s. This series will show you how to dress in 20s style, whether you want to wear 20s fashion every day, or to a 20s party this weekend, or just add some 20s elements to your daily style. We'll show you how to dress in 20s fashion without spending all your time trawling through vintage shops and praying things are in your size. See you in a minute on Reconstructing History.
Okay, so we're going to start today with a pictorial survey of 1920s clothing so we can get an idea of the silhouette, so we can go shopping for the right stuff. To begin, let's get something straight. This is not 1920s clothing. Neither is this. Look, I love Miss Fisher, but she's usually dressed wrong for the period. She tends to wear correct evening dress, but for daily wear, her clothes just are not 1920s at all. Frankie Drake also never wears anything remotely 20s, like she's not even trying. Trudy, on the other hand, is rather good. Her hair is correctly 1920s, her hats are 1920s, her dresses are 1920s, even her shoes are 1920s. But Frankie, disregard anything Frankie Drake wears in the show. It's just not 1920s at all. Nor this. I love Natalia dresses, but there's nothing 1920s about them. Frankly, they're much more Edwardian than anything. But the reality is, they're modern goth dresses. And especially not this. If you want to wear those dresses, go right ahead. They're all pretty dresses. Well, maybe not that last one. Ugh. But they are nothing like what was worn in the 1920s. One of the biggest mistakes I see in modern flapper dresses is that they're all too short. Most of the dresses in the 1920s, even those worn by the outrageous, convention-defying women known as flappers, were knee-length. They came to the knee. They covered the knee. They didn't stop above the knee. Many were even longer than that, especially in the early 1920s. Matter of fact, fashion icon and revolutionary designer Gabrielle Coco Chanel said that the knees were the most unattractive part of a woman's body and should never be shown. Now this is a typical dress of the 1920s. Dowdy, huh? And she has a paunch, oh my God! By the way, that's famous actress and silent film star Tallulah Bankhead. You've heard of Tallulah Bankhead? She was an absolute style icon and fashion goddess in the 1920s. So right there, we can see that our perceptions of what they looked like in the 1920s are all incredibly wrong. Another mistake is that all the flapper dresses emphasize the waist. Dresses in the 1920s didn't do this. The waist was largely ignored. You see, the 1920s followed a number of decades where waists were emphasized and made smaller by corsetry. The 1920s threw out the corset and de-emphasized the waist. Even 1920s-era corsets were designed to flatten the bust and to make the torso more tubular. This didn't last, of course, but a definite mark of 1920s fashion was the lack of waistline. So when dressing 1920s style, the first thing we have to do is forget the waist. Still looking at this photo of Ms. Bankhead, we can see other features typical of women's clothing in the 1920s. Her hat brim comes down far over her forehead, covering her eyebrows completely. This is the correct position of a cloche, and you should wear your hats this low if you want to achieve this look. Also, if wearing a scarf or turban on your head, this is the silhouette you're aiming for, low on the brows. Another element Tallulah shows prominently in this photo is the pleated skirt. Not all skirts in the 1920s were pleated, of course, but they are so common they will give a 1920s look when worn as she's wearing hers, knee-length or longer, and with a long sweater hiding the waistbands. Another great feature in this photo of Ms. Bankhead is her long sweater with the belt worn at the hip line. A low-riding belt or scarf will make any sweater have a 1920s flair. Just so we don't make the mistake of basing all our 1920s clothing on one photo of one woman, let's look at some other pictures and illustrations from the time. First, we have some photos of real women of differing ages. You can see that the one consistent thing is that all of their waistlines are low or covered by a long top. Maybe those are too mundane. Maybe you want to see prettier dresses. Here are fashion illustrations from catalogs of the time period. Again, dropped waistlines, no skirts above the knee. Those are all evening wear. Let's look at some day wear. Same thing. Dropped waists. Low-sitting hats. Still no knees. I mean, look at how very uncurvy these skirts are. We also have a blog post on our website that you might want to read that's very informative on this subject. It's called 1920s Clothing is Not Just for the Skinny, and you can find it in the link below. So there we have it. The silhouette in the 1920s was a lack of waist, skirts that just covered the knee, pleated skirts, long tops, hats or scarves that came down and covered the eyebrows. Nothing like what you can get on the internet called flapper dresses. Nothing like Miss Fisher or Frankie Drake wear on TV. That's it. Tune in next time where we'll talk about boys. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you've liked what you've heard. And hit the link below to go to our Patreon page and get exclusive content from Reconstructing History every week. Thanks again. Bye.